Hi enjoyers, usually there's a cinematic at the start, but from now on there'll be a separate video. It's in the description. Who knows, maybe I will make the long-awaited Supra in 15k. Subscribe so I can build a Supra. Like, subscribe, comment. Help me reach 15k subscribers and I'll build a Supra. Thanks. This is my friend who suggested this 4 years ago. This is one of our first messages. Man, why am I so awkward here? So I made a poll in the GR1 devotes, and on this video we're gonna try and use blueprints. So usually it's on all sides, but I kind of want a leeway when I build, so I'm only gonna build the top and the side view. And I'm very sure it's gonna be so easy now, considering I don't have to depend much on 3D references anymore. Future shock here. I saw this post on YouTube, community channel? Yeah, community channel when I posted my Supra pictures after the cinematic. Oh boy, little does he know. I'm so sorry, man. Kinda betrayed you on that. January 7th, this year. So I planned this to be a week-long project. I have the blueprint, I have the 3D model. It's gonna be a breeze. Yeah, no. Okay, so first, even if I had the guide set, I'm still the sculptor. Well, I'm still the one that has to get it done. And it turned out when I was midway, only the high poly models are accurate. Yeah, I'm still using 3D models alongside with the blueprint I've used. It's a blurry one. It's also a bit inaccurate. So I still had the typical hassle checking this and that and this and that. And yeah, it's all kitted out just to make sure that this car, I give this car any justice. And speaking of the car, it's a good thing you guys voted 5. But objectively speaking, appearance-wise though, it's a great design, the Mark V. The Mark IV is good, but this, it's way better, in my fair opinion, of course. And what's unfair is that I built this for just 15k subscribers. This thing should be like 50,000, but it's already done, so what can I do? But what's being done right now though is me juggling the front sections of the car from the hood, from the fenders. It's like I was trying to piece the puzzle together until both ends meet, until they all make sense.
But Shock, you already have the frames, you just have to fill it in.
Okay, listen here. The problem is not the gap, it's how we get the smooth and seamless transitions between all the sections of the car. And if you fill it mindlessly, it's gonna form so much dents. You gotta believe me. Of course, it takes a few trial and errors, and I still had to repeat the same process on the opposite side. Oh yeah, so this section was actually before the mirror tool, so you can notice me using the color codes for noting the angles. That's my tips video. It's kinda useless now though. But man, after the mirror tool update, I don't think I can still bear trying to note every move, like seriously. So on this day of recording, it was announced that the mirror tool is coming in Build-A-Boat, and I remember there was a glitch, like a trading glitch. It was secretly a trading update where you were able to give your builds to someone else, just like the exploits, but way better. But anyways, that was fixed a long time ago, I think a few months back. It's been now fixed for anyone who's trying to test it. But anyways, the car community takes the W finally. You guys get no more asymmetrical cars. I mean, even without, I still have symmetrical. I mean, yeah, you can already notice how much braver I got freestyling the front bumper. Thank God for mirror tool. But as we progress, even this awkward, what do you call this? A side vent? A hole in the front bumper. Anyways, as we progress in the video, the contrast between the very organized, careful methods with no mirror tool to with is so noticeable. I have high amounts of faith on this, alright? And yes, it cooked. June 4th this year. College sucks. Building 2 also sucks. I haven't been building for a few months, but don't worry, I didn't build the front for 6 months. That's just crazy. I was just very occupied. But my friend told me to worry more about the rear quarter panel, like the cheeks of the car. And yes, he's definitely right. So the strategy I came up here with is to build the upper portion of the center of the car. Does that make sense? So the roof, the windows, and the awkward lip under it, yeah, you'll see it anyway. On the windshield, there's nothing too special. It's very simple, similar to the tutorial I made last year. But the problem lies what's next. So these pillars and I don't know what to name it. The strip of the roof, no, the edge of the roof. So it was tough to make it, and it took a good chunk of the recording as well. The problem here is that I had to find the perfect solution to fill this awkward gap without any dents that will still follow the blueprint and will close the gap for the windows. Yeah, it was annoying. There were compromises here and there, but at least it's over with. But another problem is between this awkward lip and the quarter panel. I don't know, can I name something right in this video? Come on. The 3D reference I'm using has weird curvatures that can be hidden with Sketchfab's lighting. That's the 3D model website. Even if they have awkward dents to their model, they can easily hide those imperfections with their lighting. Build-A-Boat does the opposite. It shows even more. This was also tough, probably the toughest actually. What are we talking about here? Oh, yeah, the absolute state of Hall of Fame. Yeah, slight tangent. I don't think it's as bad as before, but there were people back then complaining like, oh, standards too low. Oh, standards too high. We just can't please everyone, right? There was a time a year or two ago when people were saying like I have a bias with car submissions. Like bro, I like cars, but just Control F from MeNameShock and Hall of Fame. Like but yeah, just search. You'll see I'm very fair. And anyways, going back. At this point when I was building this, I kept crashing and disconnecting. And clearly the world is not ready for the best. This was the time when I was making pace because I have somewhere to go, very far, and I was very adamant to finishing this. It just so happens that the hurdles show up at the most inconvenient. June 27th. It was frustrating. What makes this part hard is not just the curve I need to place, but instead how I would connect the flow of the lines seamlessly. So the wheel well, the part below the window, and also getting the perfect angle to leave space for this hole over here, the door garnish, and it has to flow continuously. And by that I mean no dents, no mindless gap fills. It was definitely the hardest. I keep saying hard and tough, but yeah, this car is overall just difficult. After 4 trial and errors, I finally got it. So now I was just finishing the lower portion here. And yeah, the strat worked. So from this door garnish and the ones adjacent to it, so it looked like the only way to have a consistent flow throughout this section is to base the rotations off from the quarter panel. I really hope I'm making sense here. Basically, if I start building this part here before the rear quarter panel, it would mean I'm building it with lots of uncertainties, and I can't think of how I can possibly do it seamlessly besides this approach I took you're now seeing. So sometimes like these happen, like there's no constant order what gets built first in a car, whether it may be front or back. As long as you place the puzzle together, then yes, that's all that matters. It did take quite a while on this part, but at this point I was just so glad I found something that works. So after this, I did the windows. So this time though, the windows aren't flat. So if you've been watching for a while, I usually just build flat windows to save the hassle. But if you can see the lines the windshield and the pillar has, I wanted to continue that all the way to the end of the car, and it took a lot more time and effort setting them up. And oh boy, this is one of the culprits for the excessive part count, but was it worth it? Oh yes. July 5, almost there, I promise. Only what's left is the rear. I've won that battle with the sides of the Supra, but I haven't won the war yet. And when I said the car overall is tough, It is very tough. I remember I said during the DB5,
vintage cars are harder than hypercars.
why did I save this? It's half correct. The older cars usually have the impossible curves to replicate in this game. Not all. We got muscle cars, that's simple, but it's like this. The more slicker the car is, let's say hypercars, supercars, or Lamborghinis and McLaren or whatever, they are shaped to be slick for aerodynamics, in which case it's very easy to replicate in Build-A-Boat. The shaping, I mean. Proof? Compare the number of Supras to the supercars existing in Build-A-Boat. Not just Supras. Typical consumer cars, like sedans, hatchbacks, SUVs. I'm gonna bet it's always the supercar, muscle cars, or any box types. The 86. Yeah, I don't know what year was it. It was an 86 infestation back then. So many built the 86, and to be fair, I was also one of those. So anyway, so much tangent. What was I saying? Yeah, the car being tough. So this rear window is tricky because now the big consideration here is to have the quarter panel together with the rear window to connect and flow smoothly as it ends to the wing. It was similar to what I said earlier, I think. Yeah, making the front. I was juggling about trying to piece the puzzle, yada yada, but all in all, this method is the meta in this scenario. Like, this car, why does it have so many curves? Did the blueprint help though? Yeah, obviously. Is it a cheat? Nah, it's not. Again, as I've said earlier, you've already have the guide down bit by bit, especially if you use the 4 sides, right? The front, the side, the back, the top. But it comes down to how you connect the gaps either way. So would you mindlessly fill the gaps and add dents? Would you still consider how you connect different sections of the car? That's up to you. And it's better to treat this as something, well, this strategy as something for double checking if you got the proportions right. Because depending too much on this you might be unable to build without one. So it's like a cigarette. And agree or disagree, that's my take. Yeah, this Supra has some parts made with my own interpretation as well. So, because there were times where the real one is impossible to replicate, so if any of you guys are using this as reference, if you're making the same car, oh, well, no. Just kidding, no one's stopping you. After all the fuss, it's finally done, and a request 4 years ago finally fulfilled. So I submitted this for Boat of the Week, brought the W, and another trophy in the collection. So anyways, thank you for 15,000 subscribers. What's next? 25,000? 30,000? Would I even reach that? I don't think so.